Now earlier on, I'm out of the house and I get a message and then another message and then another message, and they basically all were sending me this link, this press release, which basically says F1 26 will not release as a standalone game. Now, there's more to it. Obviously, it's not just that. That is the kind of tagline here. F1 26 will actually release as a DLC expansion for F1 25. For the first time ever, there will not be a standalone game release for the yearly F1 game, and that is historic. For the next 18 months, we are still going to be playing F1 25, but of course, next year it will evolve into F1 26. Now, this is really interesting, and there's a lot to get into here, a lot of weeds to kind of go through, because there's lots of theories, and this can be a good thing or a bad thing, so let's try and break it all down, starting out with the official press release. So I was sent an article, but before that we're going to quickly check out the official tweet announcement, which basically is EA Sports will release a paid expansion for F1 25 in 2026, with the current game serving as the foundation for the 2026 season. Additionally, 2027 will see the release of a new, reimagined EA Sports F1 title that looks, feels and plays differently. Now, these two lines right here could be huge and could mean anything, okay? We'll talk about this in just a bit. We're now going to go to the article. EA Sports confirmed today future plans for F1 25, with the game set to represent both the 25 and 26 seasons of Formula 1. This news drops alongside the announcement for the future of F1 2027, which will see the series return and mark the start of a new, more expansive F1 experience. So following on from F1 25's success, the team is building on the experience through a paid expansion, so basically a fancy word for a DLC update, okay? Simple as that. The premium content update will bring players closer to the sport's major changes for 2026 that includes new cars, sport regulations, teams and drivers. We'll talk about this as well in more detail. The decision to offer a premium content update for 25 is part of a strategic reset for the F1 franchise. In 27, a new game will be released that looks, feels and plays differently, delivering more gameplay choices. That is what I'm looking for. That is very key, and something we'll talk about in this video. Now we'll get to what Lee Mather, Senior Creative Director, has to say in just a second. Before that, it says, working in partnership with F1 and all 11 teams, the 2027 F1 game will deliver a refreshed experience that expands on what long-time players have loved from the franchise, whilst simultaneously celebrating the excitement of Formula 1 in new ways, immersing new and existing players in the modern era of the sport. Again, that kind of is a small expansion on the previous sentence I just highlighted. So Lee Mather says F1 25 has been an incredible success, fueled by the passion of fans and the energy of the sport. To be fair, F1 25 has been a success relative to F1 24 and 23, but still hasn't quite hit the heights that many hoped for or hoped that it would reach. Now, with that being said, it goes on to mention, with F1's momentum on and off track, now is the perfect time for us to look ahead and build for the future. So again, a reset. Now, this is where there's a little nutshell. We are fully committed to the EA Sports F1 franchise. Our multi-year plan extends this year's excitement with the 26 expansion and reimagines the experience for the 27 game to deliver even more for players at every level around the world. Now, that's all the press releasing, all the tweets done. We can now speculate and talk about my thoughts and what I think this might be. So first off, let's kind of give some context and place where we're at in the timeline. So as we know, F1 25 finally ditched the old generation consoles, allowing for a big step forward in terms of course, gameplay, physics and graphics as well. The engine was slightly modified this year in this game to kind of give a new look and new feel. Now, that to me feels like the founding blocks of something bigger, which seems to be coming. Now, to add more flesh to the bones, in terms of the current game that we have, the 26 expansion fits like a glove because they've made it that way on purpose. They knew what they were doing. So in 25, we have, of course, the ability to play as Connor Sport or Apex in My Team and Driver Career. They've kind of laid the foundation to basically just tweak the code and replace that team with Cadillac for 2026, thus giving you 11 teams playability inside the game system. Now, one thing to note, I hope with the 26th expansion, we still get a few more updated LiDAR tracks. That would be very nice to not have to just stick with these same tracks for another full calendar year, because whilst we're going to get the content expansion for the cars, the drivers, and the championship, I hope we also get the tracks. Otherwise, that will make the gameplay experience feel extremely stale and boring. So now we're going to go into the tweet. We're going to go to the second paragraph, which I think is very important here. So it's a reimagined EA Sports F1 title that looks, feels, and plays differently. So there's two ways this can go. Well, maybe three, but in my mind, two. They're going to go full on arcade and kind of open things up to make it a more commercial, simple to play game. Or option B, they're going to go more down the sim route and kind of add more layers to this. And then option C is basically just continue with what they've got. But that to me doesn't indicate that they're going to do a reimagined game, because it would be more of the same of what we already have. And that's when we go back to the article for a key line here, which says delivering more gameplay choices. Now, in the past, when F1 has made updates or has announced it's more playable, has better options, usually it's only catering to the new player, the amateur, the rookie, the pad player, the arcade player, basically giving more accessibility options, easier levels. And I'm getting a bad vibe, it's going to be more of this. But I have some hope that maybe, just maybe, there could be a different approach in the works. Now, the reason I'm saying that is I'm hedging my bets on this. EA Sports, as 2027, will see the series return and mark the start of a new and more expansive F1 experience. I hope when they mean expansive, they really mean expansive. So they're going to lean more on that sim kind of live the driver, be the life, to take F1 2010's tagline and really run with it. So fingers crossed, this would mean open world, more paddock scenery, better handling, more on the sim side, and kind of embracing that identity. I think there's a really interesting thing here, which you have to look at the market. And if you look at iRacing, there's iRacing the sim, and they recently launched iRacing Arcade. Could that be something that EA Sports are looking at in terms of the F1 franchise? Now, one thing is definitely confirmed is F1's license with Codemasters / EA Sports has been renewed. This year it was meant to run out, and there was rumors that it got renewed and then got cancelled, but this kind of confirms that they're sticking around for a couple more years, because it does say our multi-year plan extends this year's excitement with the 26th expansion, and then of course 27 in the future. So it's going to be for at least 2 more years is what that's telling me, potentially a 2-year renewal. So that is more or less confirmed from this article. So the real key thing here, this is part of a strategic reset for the F1 franchise, okay? Now, to kind of give some more depth here, I'll explain how the F1 system runs, okay? Formula 1 as a game is made by 2 development teams, okay? So they work year on, year off. So for example, the team that created F1 25 made F1 23, F1 2021, F1 2019. You get the idea, year on, year off. So F1 26 would be made by the guys that made F1 24 and F1 22 and F1 2020. So you get the pattern here. For example, other games like Call of Duty, for example, have 3 studios, so they actually, even though they release a game every single year, those studios get 3 years to develop a game fully. So you have Treyarch, you have Infinity Ward, and you have Sledgehammer Games. So my guess here, something along those lines, there's going to be a strategic reset for the F1 franchise, as they say in the article. So whether it's a new approach, a new studio, an expansion, there's something cooking here. Now, I do remember, and I heard rumbles a while back of F1 were looking to create a more sim-style version of their game to run alongside their kind of more arcadey version, but that could be smoke. Like, I have no foundation for this. This is just, word of mouth, things you hear, and, things on the grapevine. So overall, I want to hear your thoughts. My take from this is I like this decision in principle. I like that we're taking a bit of a pause, assessing where we're at, reevaluating to hopefully come with something bigger, better, and more complete in 2 years' time, at the cost of sacrificing the short-term next year's game. So this will only work if what comes in 27 is good. Well, actually not good, it's great. It needs to be great because they're putting a lot of pressure on themselves to deliver a game. And this is huge, by the way. This is an EA Sports branded game. Like, you don't see this with FIFA or EAFC. Like, this is a big thing for everyone involved here. So this has been a massive decision, and one that no one saw coming. No one's heard of this. I've spoken to many people. Nobody had any clue this was cooking up in the background. So they've kept this super under wraps, super quiet the whole time, and didn't tell anyone. It must have been a very small group of people that knew about this, and it's been a massive bombshell. So let's get a discussion in the comments going, guys. I'm keen to see what you guys have to say. Now, by the way, before I finish, there is a scenario where this franchise commits complete suicide here, okay? And I'll be very clear about this. If this entire rebrand for F1 2027 or 27, whatever it may be called, if this entire rebrand is some sophisticated spelt bullshit to basically sell more F1 World, more items, more microtransactions, and more stuff no one gives a shit about, this franchise will die. And that is it. It's as simple as that, because whatever this license got renewed, whenever it happened or for how long, it seems to be two more years, this will be the end. So I just hope in my heart of hearts, whatever this big thing is, it's not this. Because if it's an expansion of F1 World and they're covering it in fancy wording and lettering and not changing things that should be changed on the game, then we are in big trouble. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Guys, if you like the video, leave a like. Let's try and smash 1,000 likes. Comment. Also very important to see what you guys have to say and kind of gauge early reaction. Subscribe for more. There'll be more videos when this news breaks in the future. We'll get more discussions going. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Hope you guys enjoyed. And in the meantime, check out the 2 videos on screen for more videos that you might enjoy. League Racing, Assetto Corsa, F1 Career Mode, whatever it may be. Check out the channel. I'll see you guys soon. Grazie. Ciao, ciao.